Welcome to the More Than More podcast, where we discuss building meaningful, impactful businesses, careers, and lives through real estate. Okay, excited to jump into our Rethink Revisited series and the first of our concepts, the ceiling of complexity. I'm going to call this the first of our 2 entrepreneurial challenges, which is the first time I've framed it that way, but I think it's exactly what it is. Regardless of what business you're in, there's a few things that are going to be true about choosing to take the entrepreneurial path and try and build a better business. And this will set the stage, I think, these first 2 ideas for really everything else that we talk about, which are solutions to these 2 problems.
Yeah, these bookends help, like the redefined categories have kind of helped narrate that better for me too. So it's good.
Man, we've been talking about the ceiling of complexity for a long time. I don't think we've talked about it much lately. Does this term come up in much of our new agent training these days at all?
New agent training, no, but I would say in my coaching conversations it does. I'm working with a lot of our agents who have gotten to levels in their business that they just can't see the next step in the way forward. So I'm having this conversation. It sounds like you've hit your next ceiling. Let's talk about this and think about how we can move through that. So I would say more in the coaching conversations. It's not in our new agent training a ton.
So I'm gonna read a very generic summary of the concept. Give credit, first of all, to Dan Sullivan at Strategic Coach, who I think was the first person to coin this. If you jump online and you look for the ceiling of complexity, you're going to find it in a lot of places because a lot of great entrepreneurs around the world have been coached through Strategic Coach and have embraced this concept as understanding this is one of the fundamental, it's not an economic model, but it is
aspect of any growth of a business, right?
Regardless of what business you're in, this is what you're going to experience. And so that was very enlightening to us as we were building a real estate brokerage, and transferring this across to the minds of our agents, I believe, was impactful. And so, great credit to Dan. And I think after the summary, I'd like to just break apart the actual story then. How does this come about? Like, what's the actual backdrop to this?
Yeah.
So let me start with the concept. The ceiling of complexity is the point where your current way of operating, that's your habits, your systems, your routines, your structures, maybe your infrastructure, can no longer produce growth or ease. We start to bump up against something that's holding us back. It's not caused by a lack of effort or intelligence, but actually by success itself. What got you here becomes too complex to get you there. That's actually a summary that somebody else wrote in trying to summarize or explain the ceiling of complexity. Essentially, growth, by definition, is going to create increased complexity in your world. And that's going to produce stagnation and frustration, which ultimately produces burnout. Yeah,
the burnout part is the part that I see experience in a lot of people. They had such maybe early success and they get there so quickly, and then they just hit a wall. I mean, it really is like a wall. And I imagine like the visual is very strong for me on this one. It's like you just keep bumping up against that. It's very powerful.
So, I had this conversation yesterday with someone. No names. But, let's break it apart. So let's tell the story. And we've got handouts for this. And I think, again, these were written 10 years ago. And so you can reread them. They're very brief summaries. They're a page and a half each. They have graphics to help explain it. And helpful. I think the graphics really do the work of helping you picture what we're talking about. Read along, but I think the goal is to tell the story just fresh. And then let's rethink this in terms of what's changed, what's true, what's not. The story starts with the fact that it takes a certain kind of person to, well, first of all, just to get into real estate.
Yes, for sure.
But certainly to survive and make it through the first 3 years. We spent a lot of time talking about the magical 3-year mark. We talk about 83% of people fail. I think it's 86 now. Is that what?
87 by year 5. So 75 in the first year, 87 by year 5.
It's really hard to find sources for that, but we know that that's the renewal cycle. Is what determines this typically. So 80-something% of people fail. We know that 80 to 90% of all small businesses fail in the first 5 to 10 years. So there's no reason to question this. We know that there's a massive churn in the real estate business. But let's just go back before that. If you're the kind of person that gets into real estate, It means you've looked at your stable income, you've looked at your job, you've looked at the way pretty much the entire world works.
You're like, meh.
Not interested. I'm going to go do something all by myself. And that's fully commission based. That takes a certain kind of crazy.
Yes.
And the term that actually, I think it's borrowed from Herbert Hoover. And when he used the term rugged individuals, he was actually describing really Americans. He was talking about the kind of grit and tenacity that it takes to jump on a ship, have 50% of the people on the way die, and then to start marching systematically across the largest continent. Yes, let's head west to go find new territory, new land with the promise of a better life, where again, 50% of us die on the way there.
Yep.
That's a rugged individual.
Yeah.
It's someone that looks at the safe, conforming options and they go, wait, I think I can do something bigger and better. I'm willing to risk it all to go do this.
Yeah, his quote it specifically mentions like pull up their bootstraps. Like that is like visual for me. I'm like, yes, like I'm going to put on my boots and I'm going to go figure this out.
So you're crazy just to get in.
Yep.
And that's good. We like those people. This is who we serve. This is who I am. This is it's fun. The business that we're in. But even more than that, it takes a very particular type of rugged individual to then not just make the decision, but to actually make it. Because 80% of the people that choose to do that don't make it. So if you're at the place where what you've done is you've survived and you've even potentially thrived in that first several years of real estate, it's paying the bills now, you've got a steady stream of clients, you're doing a great job. First of all, congratulations. That's remarkable.
You made it. It is good.
Well, you're winning already.
Yeah.
The problem with this rugged individualism is that you need to be a rugged individual to get in, and you need to be a rugged individual to make it. Rugged individualism is the very thing that it doesn't create the ceiling, but it is the thing that prohibits
drives
or
you forward in the growth, right?
First, it drives you forward, and then it actually inhibits further growth.
Yes.
Because rugged individuals aren't the kinds of people that can figure out how to build it in such a way that they lean on others, that they delegate well, that they
build the system so that they can,
correct. So rugged individual is the thing that gets us going. It's also the thing that holds us back at certain levels of complexity. True. So rugged individualism is our asset, and then at some point it starts to become our detriment, and here's why. As we grow, we start to reach a point of complexity, and there's several reasons for the complexity. Some of them are just straight up growth related.
Yeah.
So when you sell 10 houses a year, that's one a month, and there's a certain level of just busyness and complexity
that comes with that.
And details, yes. When you're doing 100 or even 40 or 50, first of all, that's just a massive increase in complexity. You got more deals that fail, more problems that come undone, more inspections that drag out. So many more
details, so many more,
more crazy agents, etc.
Yeah.
So just growth does that. But we also have increases in complexity from really the industry evolving. So, I mean, consider the last 4 years.
Oh, my goodness. So many things have changed.
Well, and let's go back even further. I mean, I'm thinking of Cheryl Eddy, who retired 2 years ago. I mean, when Cheryl 30 years ago got into business, I'm pretty sure there was a 2-page purchase agreement.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know.
Was there any other things that went
with? An MLS book.
Yep.
It was pretty simple. There were no other forms. And so just from a paperwork, regulatory and compliance perspective, the industry is continually evolving. We've got new disclosures coming out as we speak.
Yes, we do.
And every so often we got to relearn the business. And again, in the last few years, perfect example, buyer's agency.
Yes.
Complete overhaul of how we do
commission, structure. Yes, all the things. Yes.
So complexity within the industry is evolving and increasing. But I would also say that there's just complexity from the world. What you figure everything out, and then all of a sudden social media shows up. You're like, wait, I got to figure this out.
I got to go do that now.
And then social media stops being about posting your salads and starts being about video.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
I got to be a full-time
videographer
and TV star.
Yeah.
But also, as technology's advanced, it opens up expansion. So all of a sudden you can serve further and more people. Now MLSs are starting to overlap. So now I need to join 2 MLSs.
Like the beauty of the technology, but then on the other things that it then complicates too.
So growth and just market evolution means that there's increasing complexity. We can serve more people. We can do more stuff. We can reach further. And that's wonderful. However, at some point, we start to bump up against what we call the ceiling of complexity.
For sure.
And that in and of itself is frustrating and annoying. But the bigger problem is that as a rugged individual, as you bounce off the ceiling, what this inevitably starts to produce, you can keep being rugged for a while and you can just work harder.
Yep.
But at some point, working harder stops producing more or better results.
Yeah.
And it's not just that you can't grow anymore from there. It's that it starts to drain the passion, the love, the energy, the joy that you had for real estate.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what starts to produce a lack of momentum, and then a lack of drive, and ultimately burnout.
Yeah, and it actually kind of makes me sad. I mean, because you see the people like that just go and get to the points that they wanted to get, and then they do stagnate and they get stuck, and they do lose a lot of passion for it. And I feel bad. Like, so I'm like, okay, what can we work to change? What can be that you can't keep doing the same things that you're doing. Like, obviously that's not working, right? We need to shift how we're thinking.
So the good news is that, well, first of all, everybody experiences
this.
There is no version of growth in any industry that doesn't result in a point where growth is going to produce increased complexity.
Yes.
I think we wig out a little bit when we get there. And we believe that we can help build an environment and a business and a philosophy and systems and tools that will help our agents break through those ceilings of complexity.
Absolutely.
There is a way to break through. The challenge, though, for entrepreneurs, for rugged individuals, for great realtors, is that they're going to have to embrace a very, very important set of ideas, which is what we're going to talk about the rest of this. But the first of which, as an umbrella idea, is that the things that got you there are not going to be the things that move you forward.
Correct.
There's an evolution in your thinking. There's an evolution in your relationship with your business and your clients and everything that you have to get your head wrapped around, because rugged individualism was your friend and it starts to become your enemy as you grow a business that now needs to become sustainable and profitable and run like a business.
Yeah, something has to change.
And so we call that breaking through the ceiling. You can break through the ceiling. You have to understand that what got you here won't get you there. And we frame this and we borrow this from Dan Sullivan's concept. Mm-hmm. It requires a fundamental rethink of your relationship, or your understanding of your relationship is the best way to put it. Your relationship to time, money, relationships, and purpose. Mm-hmm. And we won't get into this today. At some point, maybe we can teach this idea. But the goal of Strategic Coach is to take entrepreneurs and to break through the ceilings, but ultimately get them to a place that they call the 4 freedoms. And the 4 freedoms as a business owner is where you exist in a place where you have freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, and freedom of purpose. And I'm starting with the end in mind. What that means is that you have control of your time. It doesn't mean you don't have to work hard.
Yes.
But it means you get to decide where you're investing and
control
spending
it.
your
It
time.
is yours, yeah.
Your freedom of money, because what you've done is position yourself in a place where you're not hostage to any client. You've set yourself up smart so that you have actually control of your business and you're investing in the areas of your
money
business.
is starting to work for you too. It's not controlling you, or you're not living by it. Yeah.
I think you're jumping into like the third transitions of the
survival to significance. Exactly.
I think that's how we've worked to solve for this. But freedom of relationships, meaning you get to work with people
that you want to work with,
not just clients, but also your team.
Yes.
And the people that you surround yourself with. And then freedom of purpose, meaning you get to a place where you your business starts to not just serve you and your financial desires, but it actually becomes a platform for you to go and do meaningful things in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if 4 freedoms is the goal, then the ceiling of complexity or breaking through the ceiling, is about the entrepreneurial shift in your thinking. And I think as I wrap this up, let's dig into that idea. Like, what does this even look like?
Yeah.
Of shifting your understanding with time, money. Because initially, your understanding of time tends to be hustle and grind, and I've got to be the one to get it done.
Yes.
That's what it needs to be.
To start.
You have no paycheck, you have no support, you have no team, and you got to go be a hustler to get this done. Hustling is not going to be the thing that gets you through the next ceiling. So we want to break through the ceiling, and we believe that when you do that, well, first of all, you can.
You can.
Second of all, we've seen this done time and time again by our agents. But here's the bad news. You're going to bump up against
You're going to have another
ceiling.
one. That's the biggest realization.
We're going to have to continue to evolve and rethink how we do what we do in order to keep breaking through these ceilings.
And it's interesting to me to watch. Sometimes you just can't see it well yourself because you're living in it. So this is one of those that I feel like the discovery of like working with someone else kind of helps you realize, oh, you've just bumped up against your next ceiling. So let's look at this and see what we can do to change how we operate with our time, money, our relationships, or our purpose. And you forget that you hit another one. Like that's actually a good thing because you've grown enough to get to that next place where you hit another ceiling. That's not a bad thing. And there's ways to get through it because you did it before.
But we're dealing with inherently crazy people.
Right. I mean, that's like the stuff, they don't self-realize it necessarily.
Because they're rugged individuals.
Yeah, it's great.
and so we love this relationship.
Uh-huh.
I'm not just stuck in real estate dealing with crazy entrepreneurs. This is the kinds of people I prefer to deal with. It's who I am. And you start to see that the psychosis that we all struggle with, we're all different, but we all deal with very similar versions of the same problems.
For sure.
It's interesting because we've all got such different businesses. And so the way this met and different strengths.
Yes.
And so the way this has to be solved for everyone, it reminds me of the team discussions we had several years ago. Everybody wanted us to say, here's how to build teams.
Yes.
And the answer was, guys, there's 1,000 ways to do this.
There's not one right answer.
Well,
Depends on you.
And there's 1,000 ways this manifests for people. And so the solution's never quite the same. But what I have seen over the years is that the problem is pretty universally, not just applicable. The problem is pretty boilerplated for everyone.
Yes, it happens
to
all of you who are surviving and thriving. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, that's the ceiling of complexity in a nutshell. I call it the first of our 2 quintessential entrepreneurial challenges.
Yes.
And it's a very philosophical idea. I guess in looking back, I've got several questions and several thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got a few as well as you've thought this through. Mm-hmm. I guess the first is, you've already touched on this, but to what extent have you seen this actually play out?
Yeah, no, I mean, I relate it to, like seeing your journey is always on an upward move. Like most of our agents are growing consistently, but it really is at each of those levels, you kind of hit this plateau, and that plateau is the ceiling. And I liken it to our new journey that we do take people through from survival to significance, because I feel like within each of those stages becomes new levels of the ceiling of complexity. You enter new, I solved for survival to stability, right? But now I'm working on stability to success. And like, here's all the new challenges that I have to figure out. So when I was seeing it, I was seeing these ideas sort of married together in your, not necessarily chronological, but in the journey of the growth of their business.
I want to restate what you said, because it's the first time I've thought about it that way. You're suggesting that the three transitions that we have inside lead, systems, team, and money, in a way, map to generically
that
exist.
Yeah. I think each level produces really new complexities.
Yeah, I almost want to redraw those where you can picture them as those various ceilings. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. I think that's exactly what they are. I don't think when we set out to do survival to significance, we were necessarily trying to solve for
that.
Yeah, because it's almost like the danger in that thinking is that you're suggesting that these are exactly where the ceilings lie for each person.
Yeah.
And the truth is, some of our agents are able to hustle significantly further.
Longer.
Yeah. They're just stubborn SOBs. Uh-huh. And so some people's ceilings are significantly higher in volume than others.
Yeah.
And some have just amazing, because of, different archetypes, different skill sets.
So true.
Some of them can truly take this very far. Mm-hmm. But then the degree of burnout is severe.
When it happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think burnout's a very important thing. In 20-something years of doing this, man, no names, but the number of top-performing agents that we've sat with who are at points of like, I just don't know if I want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And
very valid.
Sometimes it's just it's been a long time and they just need a good break. Mm-hmm. They just need a sabbatical. Mm-hmm. But other times it really is because there's 2 more. One is they're hitting the ceiling and things have just gotten busy. And at some point, the duck feet that real estate requires, it tires you out.
Absolutely.
And it's emotionally draining.
Yes, because we're always dealing with people, and there's so many people in every situation. And
you know what it's
everyone else's emotions.
The days you teach are the most draining days, because you've got to be fully alert with all these people in the room, and you've got to be reading their emotions. And so I think that's what agents deal with every day, the amount of crazy that we deal with human beings.
Constantly.
I think it's the most draining work we do.
For sure.
So I think some of it's the ceiling, and some of it's just, when you do this a long, long time, you just kind of run out of steam. Mm-hmm. But the burnout's a real thing. But what's also a real thing is the number of people that we've seen take a breath, restructure something.
Yeah.
Sometimes get an assistant, sometimes get rid of an assistant.
Yep.
We've just seen this so many times. And I'm trying not to name names, but there's so many narratives I have in my head.
It's about, to me, it's more about the realization of the success stories of those when you do see them get there, and working on getting through that is really fun, actually.
I wonder if that's the first step, is really recognizing that getting to a point where you have a ceiling that
it's good.
It's a picture of a victory, right?
Yes.
It's like back of the boat thinking.
Yes.
Well done. You got to the point that your life sucks.
It sounds terrible to say, but I do really say that to people. I'm like, but congratulations, you've grown enough that you have this problem.
It's like upgrading your problems, right?
Yeah.
Your first problems were you're not sure if you can pay the bills.
Yes.
Your problems now are you don't know how you can possibly put up with another crazy client that wants to argue about their inspection problem.
Yep.
So I think that maybe is step one. Talk me through rugged individualism a little bit. We train a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've been in the new agent business for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And most of our top people, we've really helped get here from day one, right? Not being a rugged individual is the first way to fail.
Yes.
The second way to fail is to keep being a rugged individual.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I definitely, it takes all types, because we talk about different archetypes and your different strengths and your different Colbys and Enneagrams. And so just because you're seemingly on the outside one way, like I don't think most people would look at me and be like, she's a rugged individual, right? But because I'm nerdy and this is what I was told, and I was told that, I built a relational business, I could do it. And it was something that I could approach and do. It wasn't maybe as Gatling gun fast approach. So I don't think it's the personality necessarily that lines up exactly with rugged individual to me. But if you're not willing to go do the hard things, if you're not willing to go try, if you're not like the rugged individual part isn't like that inner fire isn't there. I have seen some interesting failures of just like,
No, I like what you're saying, because I think the problem with the word rugged individualism is we picture our more aggressive salespeople, perhaps. But if I think through just people within our walls that are maybe a little more on the quiet, reserved, introverted, meek, gentle, nice, loving, kind side, you could easily say, well, those aren't rugged individuals. But the tenacity, the wherewithal, the just inner resoluteness.
Yeah, so I am going to get this figured out. It's still there.
And just what's the right word I'm looking for? Just the ability to get back up. That's rugged individual. So regardless of whether you view yourself this way, I can promise you that first of all, if you've been doing this a few years and you're paying the bills
and you're surviving,
you're in the top 15% by definition.
Yes.
Most people fail. And some of us have easier journeys than others. I mean, some of us have a second source of income that makes it a little bit easier. We have more time. But I've seen a lot of people with all the money in the world
still not get off the ground. Yep. Yes. 100%.
And that brings us to our second problem. I've seen people that do get off the ground that really could have taken this to astronomical levels, who get to a point where they just lose the passion and the love for this thing. Yeah,
it's interesting, because sometimes I want the hard for a little bit for some people, because some people I feel like get the easy too quick, like they can shoot off like a rocket right to this first level, right?
You could call it getting lucky. It might not be getting lucky, but it's maybe not the best way. It's actually better to go
to go a little slow in the beginning, I feel like, and to kind of have to really have to
you can
use your fundamentals to get to the place where you get those first few. Because sometimes when you take off, then it's coming back to, I actually don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how to do this XYZ, because I never really had to take the time to learn.
So looking back over 8 or 10 years, today's ceiling versus yesterday's, I've got some thoughts on that. What are yours? How has the ceiling changed? And maybe when you first thought this through, it was in relation to your own business at the time.
Yeah.
How do you see that differently today?
I mean, I think you're totally right. I just, within the walls of all the different people and the different rugged individuals that we have, I feel like the ceiling of complexity is different for so many people. But I mean, I think looking back on this, I just feel like all of the things that we've honed in on, the right ideas, are what continue to get the people to the growth, to the place where they're hitting these ceilings, but then also give them the tools to break through. So I don't know if I've seen a huge change in my thinking on this, but it's more the realization that it is universally true for anyone that is growing.
Did you believe that when you first heard it?
Not necessarily. No.
Why? Like, what would it be in someone's mind where they look at this picture and go, I'm not sure that this is really applicable for me?
I think it was for me, and I think for some people, it's like, well, I'm never going to get to a point where it's going to be that complex. Like, I don't aspire to be the top producer and to go kill it. So I don't know. I'm probably going to be okay without having to do some of those things that are going to make it super complex.
Yeah, what's interesting is the number of people, for example, in Golden Circle today, who every time I call someone and say, hey, well done, you made it. One of the questions I ask is, did you picture it this way? Like, did you think you'd get to this level of production? Because it's not a small deal. It's well over 6 figures of revenue. And the answer is almost always, I didn't really imagine it. Some people were chasing it. Most of them actually weren't.
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is, if you do this right and you follow the right path and you build the business in a profitable,
like
sustainable, smart,
yes,
but also with the right ideology, it's I think more often than not, people are surprised how quickly you can get to a point where you bump up against a ceiling because they're outperforming their own expectations. I actually wrote down a few things that I think are different and the same, because I spent a decent amount of drive time this week just processing this. I think some things that are different on the ceiling, first of all, is that I think it's notably higher today than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, the capability that you have with technology, you can just literally do more.
The numbers are crazy right now. So our top agents, as a function partly of how they've leveraged their teams, but I don't think it's mostly teams. I think it's the prices are higher. I think that technology, well, that's the second one. Technology actually is starting to serve us more. If I go back 10 years ago, technology was actually a bit of a hindrance.
Yes, agreed.
The number of things we had to log into, and like we were having for the first time digital forms, but digital forms were a pain.
So clunky.
But they just didn't work that well. They actually slowed things down. It was a lot easier to just jump in the car, as I used to do, and drive to people to get signatures. Dotloop has truly doubled, tripled perhaps, the amount of volume we can do simply as a function of logistical ease.
Yeah, and you can be anywhere and have people sign paperwork.
The other one I was thinking about was like Google Maps. Man, I used to.
Oh my gosh, so funny, yeah.
Well, every showing, I'd have to print the listing sheet, print the seller's disclosure sheet, and then I'd print maps so that I could figure out how to get where I was going. And this was in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah.
Which isn't even that big. But I mean, just the fact that my phone today preempts where it thinks I'm going.
Based on your calendar.
Pretty darn remarkable.
Yep.
So I think that the ceiling's a lot higher. That's changed. I think the technology is working for us much more today than it ever was. I also think what's changed is marketing noise. And we'll actually talk about this in the next topic as well. But I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to differentiate. We've resaturated the new space. So where social media was a new opportunity 10 years ago.
And if you were one of the first, maybe it did really pay off.
Man, it's difficult to make space there.
I agree.
Now. It's so saturated between both paid advertising and just the number of people now who are movie stars.
Yeah.
And so I think some of those things have changed. Here's what's not changed from my vantage point is that the psychological barriers to rugged individuals, like nothing's changed. The things that are the best example I've got of this is like the whole, I'd rather just do it myself than hire an assistant. That was rugged individual thinking in 2010, 2015, and 2025. And it's, again, that makes perfect intuitive sense. If you didn't think that way, if you weren't the kind of person that's just better at doing it yourself, how'd you get here? How'd you make it? No one gets to start with a team of 6 people.
Right.
So, of course, you started with that thinking.
Yep.
And that was what was holding people back then at the $3 to $5 million level.
Yes.
Maybe that level's at like 7, 8, 9, 10 million today. I don't know.
Truly on your own.
But it's still the same fundamental thinking. So it's been fun for me to observe that the ceiling is the ceiling. It moves a little higher because of technology and ease. But it's still there. Oh, and if you're not willing to rethink your relationship to time, money, relationships and purpose, I think you're stuck.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was definitely, And maybe that's why I was in my own way at the beginning. Like you asked, like, did you see it that way early? Because I was definitely I don't trust anybody else to do it but myself. So yeah, that was definitely me in that category. It's unbelievable to me though when you said the technology, like you can be anywhere in the world and you can still help your clients with some of the things that you need to do.
So do you have clarity? I described a little bit the idea of the 4 freedoms:
Mm-hmm.
freedom of time, money, purpose, and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When I describe the breakthrough, and in order to break through the ceiling, wherever you find it, you're going to have to rethink time, relationships, money, and purpose. Do you have clarity on what that means?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, the way you describe specifically, like if I think about relationships, right? I mean, that is getting your database to a place that you have A+ and A's who refer you great referrals, and you don't have to work with everyone anymore. You get to choose who you work with and who you work around, right? Like who you surround yourself with. So I can very clearly see the freedom of relationships is that dream of I get to work with the best people and I have really enjoyable time working with the best people. And I get to refer out some things that I don't want to work with anymore. So that to me is the dream in the relationship space. And then the money space, I definitely liken to, you mentioned this before, the survival to significance journey. There's so many things that you can set up correctly and shift your thinking with money so that, right, the freedom of money is that I don't have to beat down every door to get that paycheck. It's the money's working for you. Like, you're going to have the flow because it's sustainable at this point, and then you can make the money work for you in the long run. So I can definitely see the freedom of the time, money, and relationships. I guess I maybe talk to me more about what you think on the purpose one, because I feel like the purpose to me is the big why, right? Like you have to have a reason, but I struggle maybe to see where like that is like a freedom of purpose.
Yeah. Maybe let me do them all.
Okay.
Because I think I love what you're doing, and you're covering them at a very nitty-gritty level, which is your
which is my natural
strength.
inclination.
Yeah. And I think you're completely correct. It's rethinking A+ relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's helpful maybe is to describe these at the highest possible level.
Okay.
So like when I think in order to break through the ceiling of complexity, you have to change your thinking and your relationship with time. I think that's what we're going to cover in like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And the fundamental part of that is you've got to understand that you are not paid for your time. You've got to understand that you're paid for results. It's the results economy. Which again, we're going to cover. And that is the essential rethink that you need to understand, because all of a sudden all the stories you tell yourself about I'm hustling and I'm working hard fundamentally break down. If you in 1 hour can produce the result that somebody else takes 40 hours to produce,
so true,
you get to earn the same, if not more. Because in the results economy, people actually pay you for the result, and we are in the results economy.
Yes, we are.
And so I think your relationship with time is that you stop bragging about your hustling and how busy you are, and you start realizing, hold on, I've got to rethink how to allocate what I do towards the highest possible returns and outcomes.
Where you're spending your time for that reason.
You must learn to delegate. You must learn to outsource. You must learn to eliminate ABC model, etc. So that's time. Relationships, you described it well. But I think that the rethink at the highest level there is that you have to get to a point where you start to understand that we're not in the business of selling to people. We're in the business of investing in them.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's true when I'm talking about my agent team. I think that's true about my staff, like my administrative support. Yeah. And it's true of my clients. It's a rethink. We're taught to be in sales. We're taught to, with all of our people around us, we're not taught to. We live in scarcity, so we need to leverage people. Mm-hmm. And what that creates is a transactional approach to life.
Yes.
But when we shift into this relational model where we recognize that whether I get the sale or not with this person,
not the point.
I'm actually investing in a compounding opportunity inside of a human being who, if I can play my cards right, will become an advocate of my business. Yeah. I can do that with my clients, but I can also do that with my staff and my agents that I'm working for.
Investment in your relationships.
It's shifting from selling to investing in humans. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the breakthrough in relationship. You can't do that when you're hustling and trying to get your sales done.
Because you never step out of your own hamster wheel to even really invest in those relationships necessarily.
But once you've hit that first ceiling, you've reached a point where you fundamentally need to make that shift, because that is an inherent anchor. It's a limitation on your capacity to keep growing.
Yeah.
On money, similarly, at the highest possible level, it's not just having savings in the account and having set your business up correctly where it's separated from your personal expenses, et cetera, all of which I love.
You need to do.
It's that you've got to take on the mind of a business owner as it relates to your expenditures. It's that investing into, for the best example of this is investing into people. We as rugged individuals tend to think of the expense of paying for an assistant. And so when you get to the ceiling, you're like, yeah, but I can't afford to spend that kind of money.
Or you're nervous to have somebody else to pay for.
One of the first major shifts is recognizing that if the investment into a human, the returns that you can expect from a well-trained and well-supported administrative team member are infinitely higher than the returns that you would ever expect from a stock, even a high-performing stock.
Totally agree.
And because at best you might hope for 10, 20, 30% returns on a stock investment. A well-trained human can double or triple your business.
I can completely agree.
So money is about starting to understand reshifting off of just trying to create the bottom line and shifting to a longer-term perspective as a business owner and investing into the right things. You asked about purpose.
I did, yeah.
I feel like this is the best way for me to answer this is not anecdotally, but through my own lens.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that all of us got into whatever we got into, probably not for that thing. I mean, most people didn't get into real estate because they wanted to sell houses. They wanted more freedom and control of their schedule. Mm-hmm. Odds are that underneath that, they wanted to do that because they wanted to do something better or more meaningful with their life. And I think a lot of us get into real estate or any entrepreneurial endeavor, and we actually find ourselves trapped. Yeah. Because the thing that we thought would create freedom now is our master.
The thing that is tying us down.
I was a slave to my employer, and now I'm a slave to my employer, except they're me.
The employer is me. Mm-hmm.
Freedom of purpose for me has been recognizing that the business I'm in, I described it this way to someone yesterday, just happens to be the playground that I'm choosing. That I get to play the games that I want to play in. Let me break that apart. I like real estate. I invest in real estate, and I like this industry because it creates a context for growth that I think is unsurpassed. And I think it's a beautiful playground.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not into that. I've realized in 20-something years that what I'm really into is I love ideas and I love growing people.
Yes.
I love taking people's minds and manipulating them to think better and to produce better outcomes as a function of that. To me, that's beautiful. It's art. And I can do that
with.
You never have to pay me.
Yeah.
I'll do that for free for the rest of my life. It just so happens that I have this playground where I can earn money doing that. And so
with a bunch of rugged individuals.
Yes. So when I talk about the freedom of purpose, what I mean is that real estate just happens to be the vehicle or the substrate in which you get to play. Yes, you got to earn money, you got to pay the bills. But for most of you that are in this, I'll think of Ethan. Ethan loves to coach.
Yes, he does.
And Jason loves to
train, the skills.
He loves the skills and the art of winning the dialogue with someone.
Yeah.
You love winning the relationship with the person and building trust slowly over time. To me, these are the things that you're actually interested in. If you were a billionaire and you got to choose what you wanted to do with your time, you would need to find a playground in which to do these things that create value in the world and that ultimately fulfill you and build your soul.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by freedom of purpose. When you build a business, when you recognize that this is just the playground, you have to play smart, you have to keep it clean, you have to build processes so that it works. But ultimately, if you play your cards right, you get to engage in meaningful transactions with amazing people because you get to pick your clients.
Yeah.
You get to make great amounts of money. And this is a lever. It's a catalyst. It's a context for you to go do the things that you're best at doing where you get to create value in the world.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm increasingly loving what I do because I work my tail off to build a smart business with the right ideas that allows me the freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, and freedom of purpose to be where I want to be more and more. It's never perfect. I still plunge toilets some days.
Yep.
But I believe that that's true and possible for every one of our realtors.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm passionate. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that really helps. I think, that was really good in the purpose space, especially because for me, I was thinking more like the bigger why, but it really is like living in the thing that is your greater purpose, right? Which is,
it's not how I started, and I think it's not how most people start. I think they use their job or their revenue or their business as a means to an end. Mm-hmm. And what they think is, I've got to do this. It sucks. It's hard. I hate my job to make money so that I can go do something good. I can give to charity, or I can have freedom, or I can retire, or I can buy my van and drive off to the mountains. Mm-hmm. Increasingly, what I'm realizing is if you had the $1 billion and you drove off to the mountains, you'd probably just be bored stiff.
You'd be lacking your purpose.
Because you're a rugged individual, Garnet. That's what got you here in the first place. So odds are, if you can build it smart, then you get to go both continue to bring value to the world and go do the thing that truly drives you, whether that's feeding orphans in Uganda, building sustainable development programs in the Teso region, or changing your family tree, or being in the mountains with your van.
Yeah.
I truly am biased in that I believe that real estate, it's not the only vehicle.
It's a pretty great vehicle.
It's one of the best vehicles out there to go and build something that creates freedom of these 4 things for yourself. And I really want our people to buy into that. So, okay, we need to wrap this up.
This is so good.
I feel like we could talk forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, in closing out, this problem's the same as it was yesterday.
Yes.
I believe this problem will be true 20 years from now.
I agree.
And I think that sets the stage for the rest. Well,
everywhere we're going with this.
And I'm excited to jump into our second problem. This is the first entrepreneurial challenge we all face. And what are my closing thoughts here? It's been so fun to watch people get to the point that they bounce up against the ceiling. And it's been so fun to watch people systematically break through one at a time.
That's so fun.
Your biggest enemy, guys, is you. Mm-hmm. And I think what I hope for out of just this episode is that for those of you that have busted through those ceilings several times, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yes.
You are not just better than 85%. You're better now than...
I don't even know what the percentage would be on that.
It takes top 1% to keep breaking through these ceilings. 2, if you're bumping up against the ceiling right now, no, you're not the first person to get there. And I think recognize that you are, I haven't said this before, you are the engine and the fuel of this thing. And so you must recognize that if you're in the burnout phase, if you are struggling because you're bouncing up against the ceiling.
What do you need to refuel? Right?
Well, first recognize that you're a fool if you just keep bumping your head against something and doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. You must recognize that what got you there probably isn't going to get you to the next level. Mm-hmm. It's hard work. It sucks to have to rethink how you're doing what you're doing. But you're not the first person to have to do that. This is the fundamental entrepreneurial challenge. This is why it's the first thing that's taught at Strategic Coach, one of the first. And it's why it's true today, and it was true 10 years ago. So I love that this is our challenge.
Yeah.
I like that there are challenges like this. And I think that if it wasn't a challenge, everybody would be doing it. And if everybody was doing it, the opportunity wouldn't be as big as it is. Difficulty is your biggest friend because difficulty is what's protected the treasure. The treasure that is so big in real estate should be hard to get.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
It was easy, it wouldn't
Everyone
be that
would
big.
do it.
So embrace this first problem.
Yes.
We're in the business of helping you clear it. What's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I was going. I think I love that first you have to realize that it is a universal truth that everybody who is growing, you are lucky enough to get to this next ceiling. And so the realization is the first step, and then it can be done. It can be busted through to the next level, right? And we're here to help because we are really passionate about helping you figure out those small changes. Sometimes they're very small too. They don't have to be these giant things that you have to change about what you're doing. But we're really passionate about helping you figure that out.
We really do like what we do.
I do. We do.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to sound cocky or this might come off wrong, but my bills are paid. I don't need any one agent to be able to figure out how to bust through the ceiling. in order for us to survive as a business, as a company, we truly get joy and passion from helping you break through this next ceiling and get to the next levels. It's there, and it's more available than people think. You just got to be willing to look at your rugged individualism in the mirror and allow us to come alongside you to help you to break through to the other side. So, okay, this was fun. We'll see you
for our next episode.
The next side, and that's going to be our second entrepreneurial challenge, the commoditization trap. And I just can't wait to jump into that because I think there's so much there that has changed.
Yep, I agree.
The last few years. Thanks so much for jumping in with me. Thank you for joining us today. For more episodes, resources, and show notes, head to morethanmorepodcast.com.